Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Joe Special, Steve Sloan, and the team down there want to thank their customers for their continued business and their patience. Boat manufacturers all across the country, they're still ramping up their production, still in the process of getting back up to speed, catching up on lost time due to COVID. So it might take just a fuzz longer to get the boat you want, but the boat you want is still available at great prices through Madisonville Marine. No better place to buy a boat. You may have to wait a week or two longer than normal, but they are the place to go and to pick from because everybody else is dealing with the same deals. But they want to thank you for your patience right now as all these boat manufacturers get back up to speed. MadMarine.com and Madisonville Marine and Highway 411 North in Madisonville. All right, this week on the Paul Feinbaum Show, and this is going to be a quick segment because we are way over. We spent about 5 more minutes on To'o than I expected. This week on the Paul Feinbaum Show, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey dropped a bit of a grenade. I think most of us assumed that the SEC would finally give a thumbs up to inside the league transfers. Basically what you've come down to in recent years is Tennessee has seen the league says, well, you'll have to wait and get our verdict, and then Greg Sankey at the last minute gives it a go. Initially, the rule is you can't do it, but everyone's going to it. The NCAA is now giving everyone a free pass for one free transfer, and yet Sankey said that the league is still divided, that you have a chunk in the middle that are on the fence, a chunk of schools in the middle that are on the fence, and then an even number of schools on either end that say, just let them transfer, and on the other end, no transfers. We don't want it inside the league. Look, I'm not a big fan of transferring inside the conference, but at some point the ship has sailed, get on it. I wonder if it's good or bad for the league if they're the one league out there that says, nope, we're not allowing this. Thoughts on the reality? Can these schools really hold out and can the SEC thrive if they're the one league out there that says no transferring within the conference?
Yeah, as you said, the ship has sailed. I think this is one of those classic conversations where we talk about the arguments that are happening on both sides, and it's a waste of time because eventually it's going to happen. And the SEC would be sending the message of, hey, if you want to leave, we need you to go to a different conference, while the other conferences are welcoming you to stay in there. So I think it's this year, but it has sailed at the NCAA level. We had this conversation nationally, and the NCAA finally said, okay, you're right, we'll do the one-time transfer allowance. I think that will ultimately be the answer in the SEC.
I mean, ultimately, it's making life more difficult for the people with the most power that are coaches. So, of course, they're going to complain. But, I mean, we can use all the fancy terms that we want, the transfer exceptions, but it really is you're doing a job that you're not paid for, and then they want to put a non-compete clause for 1 year on top of that. It's ridiculous. At some point, it comes down to do the right thing. If you're not going to pay players, they should have as much freedom as they can. If you're paying them and doing other things, okay, then maybe we can have a conversation.
Well, they are getting a stipend.
Sure, yes, they're generous, whatever, $2,000 Pell Grant or whatever. It's blatantly wrong, and if you're going to try to limit their freedom, it's absurd.
Bob?
It's going to happen.
I usually come down on the side of the players, and I do here too. I mean, I think if you're unhappy where you're at, why should you not be able to pick from everywhere instead of, okay, there's 13 other schools that I know I'm going to have to set out. So, no, I think it's time to let the players go ahead and do that now. I would be very firm on it. This is a one-time thing. If you do it twice, don't come at us with some sort of appeal, if you're just bouncing around now. But, yeah, I would go ahead and let them. And like you said, the ship sailed with the NCAA. Why should the SEC be the holdout?
The bizarre thing, I mean, as Josh said, you'd just be telling people, no, we don't want your talent in this conference. Go somewhere else. That just doesn't make sense. I would say this, though. If the SEC decides that these schools who are against it, they've got the bigger voice, and they get the schools in the middle to vote along with them, and they say we're not allowing this, then no more of the special appeals. Done. We're done with it. There's no going to Greg Sankey. There's no waiting until the last minute to find out. If you boys vote no, we're done. So if you come to me and say, but suddenly Peyton Manning wants to transfer to us and we think there's a waiver, get the hell out of my office. Nope, not listening to you. You're making your bed, you're going to sleep in it. That's what I would. If I were Sankey, I would say take it off my desk, because right now you've got a rule that says you can't, and they all wind up on my desk, and I'm tired of being the bad guy.
Well, that's why he needs to step up and make sure they know that's the scenario.
Yes. Yeah. We'll see if he does. All right, when we come back, let's talk about Tennessee recruiting. How's the 2022 class coming together? How do they stand with in-state recruits, because it's such a good year in-state? We'll talk about the buzz around the country regarding Heupel and crew, if there is any. All that next on the Sports Source. Come on back.